Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Big news. Elon Musk's X Corporation filed a lawsuit against an organization called Media Matters, which is sort of a media outlet, left wing hit piece group that took a shot at X, claiming and damaged X, causing advertisers to come off the platform. And they filed the lawsuit just yesterday or this morning. I guess it was yesterday, Monday, with a lot of details I'm going to go through really quick. A little background: I am a now retired attorney. I never practiced in this particular court. I was admitted in federal court, and I never practiced in Texas where this lawsuit is filed. But I have some understanding of the topic, and I may be helpful and able to explain these things. Before I dive into that, really quick, the Daily Light T-shirt, the Discriminate Cogitandi, which is Latin for critical thinking T-shirt, the fun I cheat on my diet, I don't cheat on my women T-shirt, the Tesla is the next Tesla T-shirt over here, and the Tesla stainless steel water bottle, all at elonbits.com. Use the promo code YTMember to get a discount of $2 on an item. And that's from the Plaid Powertrain Sandy Monroe teardown. Let's dive into this. What do we got first? This is what's called a complaint. This is the initial document that's filed in a lawsuit. There's a summons and complaint sometimes, but the complaint is the one that details the details. Filed 11/20/23. There's some other details up top, not important. You can see it's X Corp versus Media Matters for America, a Washington, D.C. nonprofit corporation, and Eric Hananoki. We'll tell you more about them in a minute. Defendant Media Matters is a self proclaimed media watchdog that decided it would not let the truth get in the way of a story it wanted to publish about X Corp, looking to portray X's social networking platform as being dominated by white nationalist and anti Semitic conspiracy theories. And this is where you get into the substance. This is one of those things when you do your lawsuit, you want to sort of hit your key point early. This is more of a PR thing than a technical legal thing. You want to tell right at the beginning, here's what the bad guys did wrong. Media Matters knowingly and maliciously manufactured side by side images depicting advertisers' posts on X Corp's social media platform beside neo Nazi and white nationalist fringe content, and then portrayed these manufactured images as if they were typical users' experience on the platform. Media Matters designed both these images and its resulting media strategy to drive advertisers from the platform and destroy X Corp. That gives you an idea of what they're saying. Number one, it was no, they knew what they were doing. They were malicious. There's some more details in here that are pretty juicy about what Media Matters was doing. But the key is that they distorted reality. There's a truth about how things actually work on the X platform, and there's what Media Matters did to distort that truth. So before we get into that, I just want to give you, this is one of the attorneys that's behind the lawsuit on behalf of X Corporation, Jud Stone. I think he's in Austin, Texas. Solicitor General of Texas 2021 to 2023. That's a very, very prestigious position to hold. He was an assistant solicitor general before that. He was chief counsel for Senator Ted Cruz. He was an associate in a law firm in various places. Law clerk for Associate Justice Antonin Scalia, United States Supreme Court. That's a very prestigious position to hold, to be a law clerk for any judge in the Supreme Court. It's about as good as it gets when you're coming out of law school. I don't know if this is when he was coming out of law school, but that's a very prestigious position. And it so happens that it's Antonin Scalia, who's considered one of the most conservative justices on the Supreme Court. That suggests the guy has a conservative background and graduated from Harvard Law School, and law clerk to another judge. So a lot of experience that suggests this guy is a highly competent within the world of lawyers, right? You went to Harvard Law School. Okay, point one. You had a fellowship at Harvard Law School. Okay, point two. You worked for a Supreme Court judge. That's pretty good. That's up there. Oh, you were Solicitor General for a state. Well, that's pretty. So this guy's got a great resume. This guy's premium quality lawyer, like top shelf, right? Like I'm sort of like a traffic court. I handled some good stuff, but I was never near this level of competence. This is a premium. When people tell me, "Oh, Warren, you should be a lawyer for a Tesla," like I'm not on this guy's level. I never wanted to be on this guy's level. I never tried to be on this guy's level. You have to work really hard. You have to be really smart. You have to have a particular focus to do that. This is not who I was. I'm very happy with my legal career, but this guy is a level up. Guys like me recognize, okay, that guy's a level up. And there's also John Sullivan. He's another attorney that's on the case, former assistant solicitor general for the state of Texas, and a veteran of one of the world's largest law firms. He's talking about from his LinkedIn. He's talking about the law firm of Morgan, Lewis, and Bacchius. For some reason, he doesn't put that on his bio. Served as a law clerk for a U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit judge. So that's not Supreme Court, but that's like next level after serving for the Supreme Court justice is serving for a Court of Appeals judge in the federal courts. So both of them have extensive federal court experience, which matters because this lawsuit is filed in federal court. Summa cum laude graduate of Notre Dame Law School. Notre Dame is a good law school, very strong law school. Summa cum laude means he had the best grades. So, really quality guy. Again, intern for Chief Justice Jim Wright of the Texas Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. That's before law school. So, a variety of experience. This is the kind of thing you want in an attorney. This is, again, level above me. I think the other guy might be one more level up, but this guy's a level above me. The lawsuit names both Media Matters and it names a guy named Eric Hananoki. Eric Hananoki here is a, quote, senior investigative reporter covering extremism. He is the guy who wrote the article. Here you can see he posted about the article. I'll show you bits from the article soon. But this is a guy who's got 23,000 followers. Of course, no blue check mark because he's an Elon hater. But you can see he posted this article multiple times. He's really pushing this article, wants people to read his article. And Angelo Carasone is the president and CEO of MMFA, Media Matters, whatever the hell MFFA is. You can see he's an anti-Trump guy, formerly Stop Beck, so apparently he doesn't like Glenn Beck. I'm guessing that's Glenn Beck. I don't even know who that is. But he's the president and CEO, and he responded to the lawsuit saying this is a frivolous lawsuit. Now, what I read, it didn't look frivolous. Meant to bully X's critics into silence. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a fraudulent critic, then yes, they want to bully you into silence. They want to bully the frauds and to stop defrauding people about them and cutting into their revenue. Yeah, that you do want to deter people from lying about you. That is a reasonable position to have. Media Matters stands by its reporting and look forward to winning in court. Okay, well, so let me show you now what the claim is that X is saying they did, and you can decide for yourself. It sounds pretty credible from what I see from X, and I should disclose my bias. I'm an avowed Elon Musk fan. I am an avowed critic of the media. The Daily Lie is intent to mock the media, and Media Matters represents effectively the center left or left wing media, which constantly lies to us. So I'm not a fan of the media lying to us. So this guy is part of the problem. And of course, I'm a Tesla shareholder and a avowed Elon Musk fan and heavy user of X, and I make money on the X platform. So if you want to accuse me of bias, then I have a bias. The way a lawsuit starts is you start off by identifying who's involved. So the parties are Plaintiff X Corp, which is principal place of business in San Francisco, incorporated in Nevada, and it has significant business in Texas, including maintaining significant offices in Texas. And then Media Matters is based in the District of Columbia. The organization's purpose is to systematically monitor conservative media and publish reports. Defendant Eric Hananoki, as a writer for Defendant Media Matters, is domiciled in Maryland. Now, why does this matter? Why am I telling you about this? Well, X Corp is a Nevada corporation based in San Francisco. They do have operations in Texas. They don't say anything about Media Matters or Hananoki having operations or activities in Texas. Now, it says the court has subject matter jurisdiction. This is called diversity jurisdiction. You can bring a case into federal court when the parties are from different states. So here you can see they're from different states. And when the amount in controversy is over $75,000. There's different ways of getting into federal court. It's called federal jurisdiction. One way is you're suing under a federal statute or a federal constitutional issue. Another way is what's called diversity jurisdiction. When you have a dispute between people from different states, you can bring that lawsuit, and it's more than $75,000 involved. You can bring that lawsuit in federal court because there's a perception that the state court might be biased in favor of the other the guy who's from that state. So this court, and whether that's appropriate or not, that's just the way it's been for however long. And then the next question is, this court has personal jurisdiction over it because X Corp has relationships with advertisers who are located in, have significant presence in, transact substantial business in Texas. Media Matters attempted to harm X Corp's reputation, potentially threaten X Corp's relationship with hundreds of millions of users, including millions of Texas users. So this is one of the issues that may come up early in a lawsuit is the defendants may say, hey, we're in the wrong court. We're in the wrong court. We should be in a different court. And it's partly this personal jurisdiction issue, and it's partly what's called venue. So that's up at the top here. Venue is proper pursuant to this because a substantial part of the events giving rise to the claims and because occurred herein, because a substantial part of the property that is subject to the action, that is X's business and advertising, is situated in the district. Now, I don't know enough to know how this is going to play out. I could see the argument, hey, we did all our stuff in DC or Maryland. Texas is not a particularly appropriate place for this lawsuit. We think this lawsuit should be moved to Washington, D.C. or Maryland. Now, Texas is a more conservative state. You're probably going to get a more conservative jury. I'm not sure the jury is going to matter, but you're going to get a more conservative jury. You might have more conservative judges in Texas. It may just be, hey, we don't want this to be too convenient for X. We want them to have to hire lawyers in another place. Maybe X has a good relationship. Maybe Texas lawyers are cheaper than Washington D.C. lawyers. I would expect that to be true. I don't know that Media Matters wants to. Media Matters lawyers may be in D.C. They have to go find lawyers in Texas to represent them. So there's a lot of reasons why they might try to move it to D.C. or Maryland. So that could be an early thing that happens in the lawsuit. But let's dive into what actually the lawsuit's about. Now, first, X starts off laying out what it is and what it does. And in particular, it talks about a first layer of protection. It's trying to facilitate safe and effective interactions between users and advertisers. So, one of the things that social media websites do is, and I personally think this is silly, but corporations don't want their ads displayed next to offensive content. I think this is baloney. I think companies put ads on offensive content all the time, and you can't really control what content your ads are going to be on. And why do you really care what content your ads are going to be on? But for whatever reason, a lot of major advertisers have decided we don't want our content about advertising Disney movies next to pornographic content. That's a perfect example. If we have content that's directed at children, we don't want that ad displayed around sexual, predators or something like that. Now, again, I think this is kind of silly, but it is what it is. This is something that advertisers are focused on. This is a popular thing in large corporate advertising is for some reason they have a perception they don't want to be seen as effectively endorsing, let's say, hate content, right? You have a positive brand and then your ad is shown next to hateful content. You say, hey, we don't want our ad shown next to hateful content. Again, I think this is silly and unnecessary and trivial, but it is what it is. You got to deal with it. So X lays out a bunch of things that they do to try to protect their advertisers, giving them controls, doing other things to try to minimize the risk of this happening and basically making it as unlikely as possible. And they're saying that Media Matters knows that X does all these things, and yet you'll see what they did. This is where we really get into it, that Media Matters systematically manipulated the X user experience in order to defame X. So in the article it says X has been placing ads for Apple, Bravo, IBM, Oracle, and Xfinity next to pro-Nazi content, claiming that X was responsible for anti-Semitic content being paired with X's advertisers' posts. This statement was not true, and Media Matters knew it. So they're basically saying Media Matters knew this was a lie. As explained below and displayed in an X internal review, the title is false, and that Media Matters was responsible for placement of the content identified through the exploiting X's user features. It's specifically intended to bring this about, and X has many safeguards that prevent this from happening, and they circumvented the safeguards. How did they do that? A little bit more. They claim that it recently found ads for Apple, Bravo, Oracle, Infinity, and IBM next to posts that tout Hitler and his Nazi party on X. The deal is that Media Matters did not find pairings that X passively allowed on the platform. Media Matters created these pairings in secrecy. They didn't tell in their article. They didn't say how they managed to generate this pairing, and X is going to explain it. What did Media Matters do? Media Matters exploited how user accounts are set up that leads to what ads are shown to them, and what posts they're shown on. So X's internal user data tells the story of just how far Media Matters went to manufacture an inorganic user experience. In other words, what they did does not happen for ordinary users. Period. Doesn't happen at all. They manufactured an unusual account and ran the account in an unusual way to generate this result. So first, they set out to evade the content filters by specifically using an account that had been in existence for more than 30 days. If they created a new account, then the filters might have had a different result. So by using an account that had more than 30 days existence, it appeared to be a more credible account. Next, Media Matters set its account to follow only 30 users. This is far less than the average number of accounts followed by an active user. Typical active user is 219 follows. severely limiting the amount and type of content featured on its feed. In other words, if they had 10,000 users, they followed 1,000 accounts, and 990 of the accounts were ordinary people like me or you, whatever, then they wouldn't see a lot of Nazi posts. They wouldn't see a lot of right wing posts. But what they did was they limited the type of content on his feed. All of the users that they followed were either known for posting controversial content or were accounts for X's advertisers. They followed 30 accounts, neo Nazis and advertisers, right? Do you do that? Does anybody do that? Does anybody say, I'm going to follow, the Ku Klux Klan head, this neo-Nazi guy? You follow like 10 accounts that are extreme right-wingers, and then you follow 20 corporations that advertise on X. Right? That's a very, very unusual profile. So 100% of the accounts that Media Matters followed were either fringe accounts or accounts for national large brands. And all this functioned as an attempt to flood the Media Matters account with content only from national brands and fringe figures, right? If the only things you follow are national brands and fringe accounts, then you're going to end up with ads from the national brands or posts from the national brands next to the fringe accounts because you don't have a normal following pattern. They were trying to trick the algorithm into thinking Media Matters wanted to view both hateful content and content from large advertisers. Because that's how the algorithm works. Show people content from accounts that they follow. So you follow only hateful accounts and large advertisers, and you'll get them next to each other. At least that's what Media Matters thought. But this didn't produce the intended result. An internal review by X revealed that Media Matters accounts started to alter its scrolling and refreshing activities in an attempt to manipulate inorganic combinations of ads and content. Excessive scrolling and refreshing generated between 13 and 15 times more advertisements per hour than would be seen by a typical user, essentially seeking to force a situation in which a brand ad post appeared adjacent to fringe content. So in other words, the point is that Media Matters didn't like call their friend Joe and say, hey, Joe, we want you to just do your normal day of browsing X. And if you see any ads next to fringe content, please screenshot that and send it to us. No, they didn't call 10 friends. They didn't call 100 friends and say, hey, use your regular account and do this. They created an account that was specifically designed to get this result. It didn't work. So then they used the account much more than the ordinary user would use it to try to generate the result that they wanted. And they did get the result that they wanted, but it was just like, okay. So eventually, through intentionally evading X's multiple safeguards by curating the content of its feed, repeatedly attempting to create pairings, they finally achieved their goal. And then it took screenshots of these posts from IBM, Apple, Bravo, etc., engineered to appear adjacent to inflammatory fringe content. And let me show you. So this is the article in question. It's written by Eric Hananoki. You can see his name up here. It was published on November 18th or November 16th, 2023 at 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time. And it was updated November 17th, 2:45. And you can see updates saying they're bragging that they got IBM and Apple to stop advertising on X. They're claiming credit for getting these companies to stop advertising on X. And you have this, as Elon Musk continues to descend into white nationalist and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, this is also taking Elon radically out of context and not understanding what he said. Here's the critical detail. During all of this Musk-induced chaos, which is not really chaos, corporate advertisements have also been appearing on pro-Hitler, Holocaust denial, white nationalist, pro-violence, and neo-Nazi accounts. Yacarino has attempted to placate companies by claiming that brands are now protected from the risk of being next to potentially toxic content. So they are specifically pointing out that X makes an effort to prevent this from happening, but that isn't the case for at least 5 major brands. We recently found ads, right? They accidentally found ads. They just stumbled on ads for Apple, Bravo, Oracle, Xfinity, and IBM next to posts that tout Hitler and his Nazi party. And you can see a couple of examples here. There's a post from some guy, Nick, and you can see a picture of Hitler in the bottom of this is the one on the far side there. And then there's an ad from Apple below it. There's a guy here who's posting content. I didn't even understand what was hateful about this. I think this refers to the Weimar Republic. I think it refers to Hitler in some way. And then there's an Xfinity ad below it. So they were able to generate the ads showing adjacent to hateful content. That's the claim. That's the story that they're running on. They hid its manipulation from the readers and advertisers. They didn't explain the efforts that they made in order to generate this fake result. Right? They said like, "Oh, we just found them," and you would get the impression they just were just ordinarily scrolling on the platform, looking at a regular account. No, they gamed the system to create this result. So they hid their manipulation from readers. It did not include in the article how they created the specific user to create this to happen. They hid their manipulations through omissions, deceptive image selections, misrepresentations, and secrecy settings. Neither readers nor advertisers had any way of knowing the entire feed was orchestrated to generate the remarkably rare combinations. They admitted the representation put forth by Media Matters constituted 0. A whole lot of zeros, 9090999% of impressions served on the day in question. Most or all these pairings were not seen by literally anyone besides Media Matters' own manipulated account, and no authentic user of the platform has been concerned to have seen any of these pairings. They literally what X says in the entire document. Basically, what they're saying is, we looked, and the only account that saw these ads next to this content were this account that they had generated, this account that they had set this up. All images contained only the ad and the controversial content, with all the other posts absent from view. If they had shown like the entire screen, like scrolling that this account had, you would see that everything that the account looked at was hateful content, right? That they are specifically trying to engineer this account to only see hateful content. One of the things I noticed is these posts don't have that many views. The view counts aren't super high. The engagement on these accounts is not super high. There's something. These are not like, Elon Musk posts with millions of impressions, or even my posts with thousands of impressions. They're like hundreds of impressions on most of these posts. They're not getting that much attention. They're fringe accounts, and they're probably getting attention from bots and trolls and other Media Matters accounts, maybe. So Media Matters caused advertisers to believe that the pairings were organic. Media Matters admits only happened after it reported that X was placing ads alongside white nationalists, etc. content, and all the companies referenced anti-Semitic content and their withdrawal from X. Also, they left out the profile picture of the account out of the frame. I don't know which account this was. Obviously, X knows which account this was. They did not say anything in their lawsuit to tell what the account was that was doing this. So that was a little. I wanted to go look up that account, and I didn't find it. So they lay out, all these companies stopped advertising. Oracle did not stop advertising. For those who don't know, Oracle is effectively owned or controlled by Larry Ellison, who was a board member of Tesla, as a friend of Elon, and he's not going to run from this nonsense. Unfortunately, Apple, IBM, whatever, they are terrified. They're run by woke people like Tim Cook, who will fall for this nonsense. Caused other companies not even featured in the article pull ads, including Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Paramount, and Sony. Now, Media Matters intended to harm X's revenue stream. This is important for what's going to come later, which is the claim, like the cause of action, what they're saying happened. And they've specifically identified themselves as their goal is to correct so-called conservative misinformation in the U.S. media. They're not claiming they're balanced. They're not trying to correct liberal misinformation in the media, left-wing misinformation. They're only trying to correct so-called conservative and so-called misinformation in the U.S. media. Since its launch, it has engaged an all-out campaign of guerrilla warfare and sabotage on conservative news sources. That's, I think, their own claim. And so guerrilla warfare, that doesn't sound like you're playing fair. In this context, X and Elon are a critical Media Matters target because X is the most prominent online platform that permits users to share all viewpoints, whether liberal or conservative. And Mr. Musk is the most conservative voice on the platform and a passionate supporter of free speech. In taking down two forces it already found objectionable, they had a chance to starve X of ad revenue and thereby silence all of the voices on X. This isn't just about X and money. This is about you and me. If you are on the X platform, if you want free speech, if you want to be able to view content that you care about, if you want to be able to say what you want to say, these guys are trying to stop us from hearing the voices we want to hear and from saying what we want to say. Its guerrilla attack on X is working, driving away X's advertisers and revenue precisely as intended. So they get into this section of the complaint called the causes of action. This is the legal theories behind which we're saying this is the legal theory on which you have to give us, you're responsible for what you did, and you're going to have to pay us money. So interference with contract. They know that X has contracts with advertisers, and they're trying to interfere with X's contracts with advertisers. Pretty straightforward. And they intentionally interfered with those contracts. Business disparagement, kind of like defamation. It is defamation. So they made statements that they knew were false. Disparaged the quality of X's product. X's, the advertising product, basically. The statements were false. They intentionally made these statements with clear malice, well aware of their falsity. So, and X suffered monetary loss. So you did something to me, and I suffered a loss. You are liable, and I'm damaged. These are two critical elements of a lawsuit, of a civil lawsuit. Interference with prospective economic advantage. These are the same. This is the thing. Like, to a non-lawyer, this all seems like kind of like you're saying the same thing over and over again. There are reasons why you frame it this way because there's different causes of action that are different theories of liability. So this is actually a theory of liability I haven't heard of before. Interference with prospective economic advantage. Maybe that's a Texas principle. I don't know. I've never seen this one before, or maybe it's a new concept because I'm not my area of law really. They cause advertisers to lose faith in X Corp's ability to monitor and curate content, acted with intent to disrupt these relationships. That's the argument there. And then the last thing here is an X was harmed as a result. So then the prayer for relief is this is what we want. Okay, so we want actual and consequential damages caused by misconduct, including but not limited to all general and special damages. Basically, X says, here's how much money we lost. They would detail later, here's how much money we lost as a result of this. These advertisers stopped their advertising for us with us for this period of time. This is how much they were spending, so this is how much revenue we lost. And we're probably talking about tens of millions of dollars, if not $100 million or more. Probably tens of millions is my guess, depending on how long the advertisers stay off the platform. It may be that when Linda Yaccarino brings these details to Apple and IBM and so on and says, look, you guys were duped, these guys lied to you, please come back on the platform, that may persuade them to come back on the platform. The sooner they come back on the platform, the less the damages are. They also want a preliminary and permanent injunction ordering them to take down or otherwise remove the article. That may or may not happen. I don't know that you can claim you would need irreparable harm. There's a whole bunch of things you need in order to get an injunction. We'll see whether this actually happens. They want attorney costs and attorney's fees to litigate the action. I would think under the kind of claim that they're making, they might be entitled to costs and attorney. Costs are usual, but they're usually small. Attorney's fees, and I don't know for sure. Maybe costs in this context can be more. Attorney's fees can be really, really substantial. So we'll see. And then this is sort of the you just throw everything in there for such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. This is just kind of legalese that lawyers throw in at the end of a complaint. So that's the crux of the complaint against Media Matters by X. That's my ballpark attempt at legal analysis. What is my impression? It sounds good. It sounds like they manipulated the system to generate a result, and that generated misleading information that damaged X. They gave the impression that X does not protect users when they actually know that X goes at advertisers. When they actually know that X goes out of its way to protect advertisers, and they gamed the system to get the result that they wanted to try to show people a mischaracterization of what things are actually like on the X platform. So, what will happen in court? I don't know. Will the case get moved to DC or Maryland? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen in this lawsuit. You saw the big talk from Carusone saying, this is a frivolous lawsuit. We stand by reporting. We look forward to winning in court. It's easy to talk that way now. Then then you hire your lawyers. Then you talk to your lawyers, and your lawyers say, "You did what? Wait, you did what?" And when his lawyers tell him, "Yeah, that's not going to look good in front of a jury," he might change his tune. My guess is that Elon's going to try to bankrupt Media Matters. That's my guess, and he may add Angelo Carusone if they're able in discovery when they find out, because at some point they're going to have discovery. They're going to ask the reporter, "How did you do this?" Like, get him to explain what he did. Why did you do this? Were you told to do this? Was Angelo Carusone involved? Right? Because if you can identify other people who are involved in engineering this, then those people might get added to the lawsuit after discovery happens, and you identify who's really behind this. Did somebody else tell them to do it? Who was paying them? Who is funding them? Were there conversations that led to this effort? I think that's actually one of the big things here is in discovery, they want to see if they can get into their emails and see who got them to do this. Did they just do this on their own, or is somebody telling them, "Hey, we want you to go after X"? Because if they can find that out, then my guess is that Carusone and Hananoki and Media Matters probably don't have a lot of money. Right? And then they just form another company to do the same damn thing, right? But if they're able to identify the money people behind this and show that they knew what was going on and that they pushed for it, then they may be able to add more people to the lawsuit, and then somebody may really actually have to pay a lot of money. So we'll see. Anyway, I think I hope this is useful information for you. I hope this helps you understand the situation. Please follow me on the Daily Lie, which is warrenredlick.locals.com, and check out the t-shirts, the Daily Lie t-shirt, Discriminate Cogitandi. I cheated my dad on cheating my women, and I don't know where those came from. And and check out the stainless steel water bottle as well. ElonBits.com. Use the promo code YT member. Thank you so much for watching.